Hey, welcome back to the show, everyone. This is your host, Ryan Kennedy, and today's episode is all about how to resolve chronic sinus congestion. I go through this a lot with people I work with because proper nasal breathing is one of the most fundamental aspects to good health, longevity, performance, so many things. And I talked on the last episode about that in length. So go back, listen to the last episode if you missed that, as to why sinus breathing and proper breathing mechanics in general is so imperative to your short and long-term health. But the number one reason people suffer with this is because their nose is freaking stuffed up. And it's like, dude, how do you want me to breathe through my nose if it's all congested? And so this is a huge issue because it is decreasing oxygen saturation because you're not able to breathe properly. And it's such a key component to proper cellular function. I talked about in the last episode how cancer cells and other dysfunctional cells thrive in a low oxygen environment. So it's huge, huge, huge to start breathing properly. So I'm going to go through some of the top reasons, and then I'm going to follow that with top solutions for sinus congestion. So number one, as far as reasons people have chronic congestion in their sinus passageways, due to a pathogen load, chronic pathogen load in the sinuses or respiratory system. A lot of people develop excess fungus or mold or harmful bacteria and these microbes that can cause a lot of congestion as a way of your immune system trying to combat those pathogens. And so this is a big one for people. Number two reason would be environmental exposure. Things like dust, pollen, mold spores, household toxins that are present in your living area or your sleeping environment can really contribute to this problem. And that really comes back to immune system regulation, especially when it's caused by pollen or seasonal allergies. The next would be chronic mouth breathing. This problem perpetuates itself as mouth breathing can lead to sinus congestion. So it's kind of like, catch 22 there. And so there's a lot of other reasons too. And in this episode, I'm not so much discussing the structural component because there are individuals who have what's called a deviated septum, where their nasal passageway is obstructed due to the structure of the cartilage in their nose. Now, there's not a lot of natural ways to resolve that because it's a structural issue. So you actually have to get surgery or some other type of situation that typically involves an invasive medical procedure. Now, even with the deviated septum, you can improve breathing mechanics, but it just takes some coaching, some practice, some knowledge into these different areas. Now, as far as potential solutions for the chronic pathogen load, I found that nebulizing either glutathione or food grade H2O2 is something that works very well. As glutathione has a lot of great antimicrobial properties, plus it's a powerful antioxidant and is one of our body's main detoxifying agents. So it's really good to lower that chronic pathogen load in the sinus and airway. And a very diluted H2O2, hydrogen peroxide, food grade, in the neighborhood of 0.5% or 1%, diluted with a saline solution, can also be very good. Go back to my episode with Dr. Thomas Levy, where I talked about this in length. He's one of the world's leading experts in nebulizing H2O2. And we discuss a lot of case studies and experience he's seen clinically with people. So that's one strategy that can really help. And then if you wanted a more simple strategy, because that does usually involve working with a practitioner, knowing what you're doing. It's not quite that simple to just pick up a nebulizer and know what to buy and how to prepare the solution. So a simpler solution would be there's nasal sprays that use a combination of different herbs, things like oregano and bay leaf and sage, that can help to also clear out the chronic pathogen load in the sinuses, which is really helpful for this. Now, if your sinus issues are allergy related, meaning they're not chronic, they're not all year round, they're just at certain times of the year, and you notice based on, they're called seasonal allergies because you only get them during certain seasons of the year. Getting on some proper immune support protocols can really correct the root cause of this and make it so you're not reliant on over-the-counter allergy medications. And that involves a whole nother episode to talk about immune support, but certain things like optimizing your intake of vitamin D3 and getting some sensible sun exposure and getting some vitamin C, some vitamin A, making sure you're covering your bases nutritionally is a good thing. And then I've seen colostrum be a game changer because it helps to heal and seal the gut. It's one of the best things for leaky gut. And I did a whole episode on leaky gut, and colostrum is freaking fantastic for that, but it also has a lot of immunoglobulins that can really help with immune function. So I'm a big fan of that for seasonal allergies as well. I've seen really good results. Now, if it's environment related, getting fresh air or proper air purification is really essential. So keeping your windows open, weather permitting. If it's freezing cold outside, you probably can't do this. And if it's scorching hot outside, you're probably going to want to keep your windows closed. But having fresh air coming into the home is very helpful. And then using a high quality air filtration system, if you can't keep your windows open, can really help with environmental exposures by keeping different contaminants, like VOCs and pollen and dust and different things that can get into the house. I guess not so much pollen, more so dust and debris. Getting a good quality air purifier can be fantastic for this. And then houseplants are actually another good thing that can help pull some of these chemicals out of the air that can be really beneficial. Now, those are some potential reasons and potential solutions. Another potential solution would be spending more time outdoors, away from the city. And there's certain chemical compounds released by trees that can support good respiratory health, and you gain a ton of other benefits in the process. So I'm a big fan of just going out camping, getting out on the trail, getting out on the ocean, out in the water. Amazing for this. And then for temporary solution, nasal strips are great. A company called Breathe Right makes some really good nasal strips. Now, this won't necessarily address the root cause, but it can give you some temporary relief as you work on the underlying reasons. So same thing as like a nasal irrigator, like a neti pot. This can be really helpful just to clear out that sinus passageway so that you can sleep well and breathe through your nose at night. I have a lot of people I work with use these nasal strips at night so that they're able to do proper nasal breathing, even if they usually get a little plugged up at night. And then nutrition changes are really helpful. Oftentimes eating inflammatory foods that don't respond well in your body can lead to this chronic sinus congestion. So I've had a lot of people get relief by eliminating grains, especially wheat. Dairy is another big culprit. And then a lot of processed foods, refined sugars, things like that just can increase but actually dysregulate your immune system, which can increase this issue. So there's lots of other causes and solutions, but I hope you found this brief list helpful. And if someone you know suffers from chronic sinus issues, pass this information along with them. And if you're interested in getting personalized protocols to really help you get to the bottom of your sinus challenges, feel free to send me a message, send me an email at ryankennedyhealth@gmail.com. I'd be more than happy to work with you and help you on this matter, as I have many other people over the years. I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you found it helpful, please share it along to anyone else you believe it can serve. You can submit your own question to be answered on the show by going to ryankennedyhealth.com/podcast. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review for the show. Your feedback helps to support me on my mission to positively impact as many people as possible with this information. Please note, the information depicted in this episode is purely for informational purposes only. Please consult your healthcare professional before making any changes to your lifestyle or routine.